What would it look like if your housing cost in retirement were $200 a month? Would that change anything for you? I know it would for me. And no, this doesn't involve a tent camping in state parks or moving halfway around the world to some remote jungle, though that could be fun for some. No, this is a housing cost in the United States of America of $200 a month. Today, we're going to talk about a three-part housing strategy that could help you design a retirement life that you've always dreamed of.
Hi there, I'm Denise. I started this fully alive journey after winning a pretty tough battle with cancer. I came away with a whole new perspective and appreciation for life. Now, as I'm leaning into retirement, I'm discovering and sharing practical ways to live a fully alive life for many years to come.
So let's start with this concept I like to call right sizing. Now, right sizing isn't just about a smaller home, but it's about looking at the home that you live in and making sure it still works for you, both physically, financially, and even emotionally. It's about looking beyond the square footage to the ongoing effort and cost to maintain a larger home. Just thinking about, how do I want to spend my retirement days? Do I want to continue to maintain a large backyard or clean a larger home? Could you save on heating and cooling bills by living in a space that really better fits your lifestyle now, instead of paying for those rooms that you're not using? So here's a real simple way to see what a right sizing decision would look like for you. So you just take the square footage of your home and multiply that by what homes in your area usually sell for, and then what you would want to right size to. For example, if you live in a 2,500 square foot home and you're thinking, right sizing for me looks more like 1,700 square feet. And homes in my area sell for about $200 a square foot. Just doing the simple math with that, there's a difference of about $165,000. You'd also spend less on property taxes and homeowners insurance and probably maintenance and upkeep on the home. Think about replacing a carpet or a roof on a 2,500 square foot home versus a 1,700 square foot home. All those things do add up. Even just taking this first step of right sizing could make a big dent in your monthly housing cost, freeing up time and energy also to do the things that you really want to spend your time, energy, and money on in your retirement years. That's really the heart of right sizing, choosing a home that fits your lifestyle today. And now step two, that's where things really start to get interesting. This right sizing is powerful on its own, but when you pair it with this freedom to reimagine your location, well, that could change things in a big way. So my mom raised us 9 children in a pretty large home on about a half an acre. And, that was really needful for that season in her life. But as the years passed, the kids moved away, the neighborhood started changing, and the city started crowding in around her. So instead of holding on to what was, my sweet little mama made this big, bold, and thoughtful decision to reimagine her life in another location. She found a smaller community in a rural town in Virginia that was just the right size for her. And she made this decision earlier enough in her retirement that she had plenty of time to build friendships, get involved in her church, and make this new town her home. Every time I'd visit, she'd wrap her arms around herself and tell me, "Oh, I love my little dollhouse." That's what she called her home. It was the perfect size for her. She decorated it to her taste, and it was just so much easier for her to maintain. She was living her fully alive retirement life. So if you're no longer tied to a location or a job, maybe this is your opportunity to reimagine your life in another location. And relocating isn't just about changing an address. It's an opportunity to really design a retirement lifestyle that you've always dreamed of. maybe weather, a warmer place, or a slower pace of life. I know that was really important to my mom. So if this right sizing and reimagining your location has piqued your interest, let's take a look at what this would really look like and what I'm calling a tale of two Laurels. So I'm from the Laurel, Maryland area, and I hopped on a website recently just to see what properties look like in the area. I had a family member who was thinking about buying a house. And so I was looking at these adorable, affordable homes. And then I realized I am in the wrong Laurel. I had typed in Laurel MS, Laurel, Mississippi, instead of Laurel MD, Laurel, Maryland. But it really got my wheels turning about what a life could look like, what a retirement life could look like, depending on which Laurel you decided to live in. So we're going to take a quick look at these two homes that I found. And a little caveat, real estate does change, interest rates change. But what I did was I just put in these parameters. I was looking for a standalone home around 1,500 square feet and about a 3-bed, 2-bath in a pretty updated condition. So trying to really compare apples to apples as much as I could. So we're going to jump in here and look at this home in Laurel, Maryland. So here's a home I found in Laurel, Maryland. And it is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,476 square foot standalone home. And right now it's pending at $420,000. So let's jump in here and see what the house might look like. There's your front yard and there's your interior. Looks like some nice new flooring, new paint. Like I said, I was looking for homes that kind of had this move-in ready feel to them. Nice baseboards and window trim. You get a lot of that on the East Coast. And just a quick look at the kitchen here. That's always a big factor in my world. So let's go jump and look at what these numbers might look like if you were to purchase this home. So here's where it gets interesting. Where are we? Here we go. So monthly payment on this home. So you would put your 20% down, 30-year fixed mortgage at 6.285. Principal, interest, property taxes, and homeowners insurance, all of that would net a monthly payment of $2,602. Let's call it $2,600, keep it easy. So a house payment of $2,600 for this home in Laurel, Maryland. I don't know about you, but that feels a little out of reach for me. Especially if you've moved from a higher paying 9-to-5 job in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area, which is where this is, to a retirement income. So let's jump in here and look at a home in Laurel, Mississippi. So here's a home in Laurel, Mississippi, and this is a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1,574 square feet. So just a little bit larger than the home we were looking at in Maryland. And its list price is $185,000. We'll jump in and see what this little cutie looks like on the inside. I do like this ranch style, no stairs. Could be a good thing as I get older. Yeah, nice little porch there. All right, here we are on the inside. Again, updated. This actually might have real wood floors. That's interesting. I always like real. But a cute little home. There's our kitchen. Yeah, I like that kitchen. I could cook something nice in that kitchen. So this is our home in Laurel, Mississippi. And we'll jump over here and look at the numbers like we did for our home in Maryland and see what our house payment on this might look like. So here we go, monthly payment. So again, the same 30-year fixed rate mortgage and principal, interest, property tax, and homeowners insurance. And do you see this property tax? Seeing is believing, they say. This is $37 a month in property tax. And I did have to check that. I thought that's got to be a typo, but that is the real deal. Property tax in Laurel, Mississippi of $37 a month. I think Laurel, Maryland was $390. Whew, that's a $350 a month spread about just on your property taxes that never go away. So get back on track here. So our monthly payment on this house is $1,117 a month. $1,117 a month. That's feeling a little more comfortable for me. And so that's about a difference about purchasing that home in Laurel, Maryland versus purchasing this home in Laurel, Mississippi. That difference is about $1,500 a month in your house payment. $1,500 a month. That's like getting a bonus $1,500 a month Social Security payment. So when you're no longer tied to a location because of a job, you may want to reimagine life in another place. But stick with me. We're going to hit the mind-blowing part 3 next. At least it blew my mind. But first, if you're enjoying this content, I'd invite you to hit that like and subscribe button and then ring the bell so you know when the next video drops. So adding this third part to our 3-part strategy, the right sizing, the reimagining your location, and now leveraging your home equity. This could completely change your retirement life, at least the financial end of your retirement life. So we're going to look at this through the eyes of Mr. and Mrs. Savvy Sr. So our Mr. and Mrs. Savvy Sr. Both receive $1,500 a month in their Social Security. And then they take another $1,000 a month from their IRA. So they have an income or a monthly income of $4,000 a month. And Mr. and Mrs. Savvy Sr. bought this home we just looked at in Laurel, Maryland 15 years ago. And at that time, the purchase price was $300,000. Got a 30-year mortgage, and the interest rate at that time was 4.75. So their house payment, using that purchase price and the interest rate, and then using the same property tax and homeowners insurance that we just saw, their total housing cost for that home right now is $1,900 a month. And they have a remaining loan balance of $165,000 after they've been paying on it for 15 years. And if they were to sell that home today for that $420,000 price that we just saw, they would walk away with $255,000 equity in their pocket. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Savvy Sr. are reimagining a location in their retirement years. And they are looking at this home in Laurel, Mississippi for $185,000. And so if they were to take that home equity, they could purchase this home in Laurel, Mississippi for cash. That would be fun to do. And then we'll look at what their house payment could be there. So they don't have principal and interest anymore. They just have the property taxes and homeowners insurance. So we'll use those same numbers that we just saw. And so their house payment is looking like, wait for it, this might just blow your mind. Their house payment would be $200 a month. $200 a month, I promised you, this would be in the United States of America. But did you ever imagine it would be such a cute little home? I think I could learn to love Laurel, Mississippi. So for Mr. and Mrs. Savvy Sr., that would mean a difference of their housing of $1,700 a month. $1,900 in Laurel, Maryland, $200 in Laurel, Mississippi. And let's not forget, they still have $70,000 in home equity after purchasing their home. That $255,000 in equity, purchase price of their home in Mississippi of $185,000, leaves them $70,000. You know, they could use that to pay for closing costs, moving costs, maybe some decorating of their new home. They could take their dream trip to Italy and still have bunches of money in the bank. So our Mr. and Mrs. Savvy Sr., they have 2 options to choose from. Doesn't this sound like an HGTV show? You know, you HGTVers, give me a call, we'll brainstorm. This is a show I would be interested in watching. You know, maybe we call it home sweet retirement or re-nesting. I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to our Mr. and Mrs. Savvy Senior. Let's look at that financial picture in Laurel, Maryland. So they have their home that they bought 15 years ago, and they're paying $1,900 a month on that home. And then if we used a real low expense number of $2,500 a month for everything else, and that is a very low number, but some people can do it. So they've got their $1,900 a month house payment, and then $2,500 a month in other expenses, and then their income of $4,000 a month. So if they decided to stay in Laurel, Maryland, they would have a shortfall of $400 a month. Now, if Mr. and Mrs. Savvy Senior decided to sell their home in Laurel, Maryland, and purchase this home in Laurel, Mississippi, let's look at that financial picture. So as we saw, their Laurel, Mississippi housing cost is $200. We'll use that same $2,500 for their other expenses, and then their income of $4,000. So instead of a $400 a month shortfall in Laurel, Maryland, that they would have to make up with either savings or a part-time job, if they decided to reimagine their life in Laurel, Mississippi, purchase this home, they would enjoy $1,300 a month in a surplus. They could use that for travel or golf or spoiling the grandkids, maybe medical bills, or just have a little more financial breathing room each month. Certainly something for Mr. and Mrs. Savvy Senior to think about. Let me know in the comments below which one you would choose and why. This simple strategic combination of right-sizing, reimagining a location, and then leveraging any home equity that you have, it could be the difference between scraping by and living a fully alive retirement life. Everyone's situation is different. Maybe you only have $100,000 in home equity and you have a small mortgage in Laurel, Mississippi. Or maybe it's simply reimagining your location in a place that's more affordable, more you, and more of the lifestyle that you want to enjoy in retirement. Whatever works for you, mix and match, play with numbers, but hopefully this got your wheels turning about what is possible. Maybe things you'd not thought about before. Jump on those realtor sites. I love to do that and play with some numbers. When you look at that monthly payment, you can put different numbers in there, different down payments, length of the loan interest rates. I don't know. It's a good way to get your wheels turning and see what's out there. But it's not really about living smaller. It's about living smarter, creating a life that feels fully alive for you. Well, thanks for joining me in this little adventure. Here's to being fully alive every day.